All right, welcome back for another deep dive. Tonight, we're breaking down one of the most surprising upsets of the season, the Dallas Cowboys' victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this wasn't just any win, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
This was a 26-24 nail-biter, and it really had major implications for the entire NFC playoff picture.
You got it. And, you might be thinking, okay, another Cowboys win, but
Right.
This was a statement win. And we're going to dive into exactly what made this victory so special.
Yeah, I mean, just picture this. It's the final minutes of the game. The Bucs are driving. They're looking to get into field goal range to take the lead, and then bam. DaRon Bland forces that fumble on Rachaad White. Cowboys recover the ball. Talk about a turning point, a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, that play right there really kind of sums up this Cowboys' resilience throughout the whole game. The Bucs, they actually had the advantage in rushing yards, 134 to a pretty measly 31 for the Cowboys. And, you'd think that would translate to a dominant performance on the field, but
Right, you would think.
it didn't.
It's not at all.
And that's what was so fascinating about this game.
It really throws that whole you got to run the ball to win idea right out the window.
Absolutely. It shows
Yeah.
that you can win by playing smart, disciplined football and capitalizing on those opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah, taking advantage of your opponent's mistakes for sure. And speaking of seizing those opportunities, how about Jourdan Lewis? That incredible interception late in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my.
Brady throws that deep ball intended for Mike Evans, and Lewis comes seemingly out of nowhere to snag that interception.
It was a thing of beauty.
It was incredible.
It was.
I mean, he just shut down the Bucs' momentum right there.
And sealed the Cowboys' victory, really. In that play, it really highlights their defensive strategy. They were able to prevent those big plays from Tampa Bay and force them into making mistakes.
Yeah, it's almost like they had this sixth sense of when and where to apply that pressure.
Absolutely. They were able to disrupt Brady's rhythm, And we got to give credit to the unsung heroes on that defense, too. Guys like Linval Joseph, Chauncey Golston really stepped up, especially with some key players out. They made some crucial stops throughout that entire game.
Yeah, they were fantastic. They say defense wins championships. And last night's performance, it really showed that the Cowboys have the potential to be a real contender.
I agree, 100%. And this game, it had all the markings of a team that's really playing for their coach. Mike McCarthy's been under so much scrutiny lately, but the way they performed out there, it was a testament to their belief in him and his system.
Yeah, and speaking of believing, how about Brandon Aubrey?
Oh, man.
The guy is automatic, 4 for 4 on field goals, with 3 of those from beyond 50 yards.
He has been unbelievable for the Cowboys this season. And last night, he actually broke a record. He surpassed Ka'imi Fairbairn for the most 50-yard-plus field goals in a season.
Wow.
He breaking records left and right.
It's incredible. And, having a kicker that reliable really just takes a lot of pressure off of the offense.
No, for sure. It gives them more options.
Okay.
Allows them to take some more chances, knowing they got that safety net.
Exactly. And those risks, they paid off in the passing game. CeeDee Lamb had another outstanding performance last night, proving once again that he's one of the most exciting receivers in the league.
Yeah, that long reception in the second quarter, that was just textbook. It's just a perfect example of his talent. And Dak Prescott's trust in him. They're developing a real connection out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun to watch.
It's like they're speaking their own language out there on the field. They're in sync, making plays, putting points on the board.
Absolutely. And it wasn't all about the deep ball either. They were able to move the chains consistently with those short passes and some strategic runs, even though, the running game as a whole wasn't as dominant as we've seen in the past.
Right, but that's what's so intriguing about this team. It's like they're finding ways to win, even when things aren't going perfectly according to plan.
They are. They're adapting. They're resilient. They're showing a maturity that's really, really exciting to see.
And this win over the Buccaneers, it really feels like a turning point, a declaration that the Cowboys are a force to be reckoned with this season.
I think so, too. They did it against a team that was on a roll, a team that many people consider the favorite. No doubt about it, it was a statement.
Absolutely.
But the question is, can they keep this momentum going?
And that's exactly what we're going to dig into next. We're going to take a look at the Cowboys' upcoming schedule, explore those playoff scenarios, and really examine whether they have what it takes to make a deep postseason run. So stick with us, because this deep dive, it's just getting started.
Well, the Cowboys are definitely sitting pretty right now, especially considering that they still have 2 big games left, against division rivals, no less, Philly and Washington. And those games, they could really determine who takes the NFC East and even who gets a wild card spot.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild finish, that's for sure. Those games against the Eagles and Commanders, man, they're always intense, always a battle. But even going back to this Buccaneers game, I feel like the Cowboys have really found something that works, even when they're not,
100%.
Yeah, they're not relying on just one aspect of the game to win. It's a complementary football. The defense is getting those turnovers, special teams executing perfectly, offense finding ways to put points on the board even when that running game isn't dominant.
Right. It's like they've figured out how to maximize their strengths and minimize those weaknesses. And I think a big part of that has been some of these unexpected players stepping up. The unsung heroes.
Oh, absolutely. Guys like DaRon Bland, Chauncey Golston, these guys who haven't always been in the spotlight. They're stepping up, making these huge game-changing plays. It really shows how good the coaching staff is at developing talent, creating a system where everyone can contribute. Yeah, and let's talk about the coaching for a second. Mike McCarthy's been on the hot seat. But the way this team is playing, it just shows how much they believe in him. And his system...
There's a difference. You can see it. The execution. Attention to detail. They're not making those mental errors. Clock management's good. And they're playing with an intensity that we haven't always seen.
It feels like they're playing for something bigger than themselves, like they're on a mission.
And that's what you want to see. From a team that's looking to win a championship, they're buying into McCarthy's vision. They trust the process. And now we're seeing those results.
We are. And, we got to talk about Brandon Aubrey again. I mean, what a weapon to have.
Yeah.
He's been a game changer all season. And that record-breaking performance against the Bucs just cements him as one of the best in the league.
Absolutely. I mean, he's given them this confidence in the kicking game that they haven't had in years. They know they can rely on him to hit those clutch field goals, especially those long ones. And it takes a lot of pressure off the offense.
Right. It lets them be more aggressive, knowing they got that safety net.
For sure. And it's not just his leg. It's his mental game, too. He's been ice cold under pressure all season long.
Yeah.
And that kind of composure, that's priceless in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Can't teach that. And speaking of playoffs, this win against the Bucs really shook up that NFC South race. The Falcons are in the lead now. Saints and Panthers, they're fighting for their lives.
It's crazy how one game can change the entire landscape. And with the Cowboys, got those 2 division games left, they could very well decide who makes the playoffs.
They are in the driver's seat, that's for sure. It's going to be a thrilling end to the regular season. And the Cowboys are right in the middle of it. They've proven they can compete with the best, and they're playing with this confidence and this determination. It's contagious.
They are. They're a team that's peaking at the right time. That's a dangerous combo. Their defense is wreaking havoc. The offense is finding its rhythm. Special teams is perfect.
And they're doing it all with this, this fire, this urgency.
That comes from years of falling short.
Yeah, they're hungry.
Hungry for success. They're playing with a purpose. And they're not afraid of the big moments.
This Cowboys team, man, they're different. There's something special about this group. They're not just winning games, they're making statements.
And the league's taking notice.
Absolutely.
They're not just a bunch of talented players. They're a unit. They're greater than the sum of their parts.
They're a team that can beat anyone on any given day. But the question is, can they sustain this level of play and make a deep playoff run?
That's the million-dollar question, right? We've seen flashes of brilliance from this team before, but I haven't always been able to put it all together when it matters most.
So what's different this time around? What makes this team a true contender? We're going to delve into that next, as we examine those key factors that could decide their playoff fate.
I think, well, the biggest difference I see this year is it's just that unity, that belief within the team. They're playing for each other, trusting the system, not letting those setbacks derail them. And that's so important for any team that wants to win it all, right? It's not just about talent. It's about that collective spirit, that fight, and being able to bounce back from anything. And the Cowboys, they've definitely shown they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, think about earlier this season. When they lost those key players to injuries, a lot of people counted them out.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't fold. They rallied around each other, stepped up their game, proved they're not a one-man show.
That right there, that's resilience, man. That shows you what kind of leadership they got in that locker room. Guys like Dak, Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
They set the tone. And those younger players, they follow.
Yeah, and I think having a coach like Mike McCarthy, who's been there, done that, won a Super Bowl, I mean, he knows what it takes.
He knows.
And he's bringing that winning attitude to this team.
He's not letting them get comfortable. He's keeping them focused, always pushing them to be better. That's what you need from a coach.
Yeah.
Especially when the pressure's on, like in the playoffs.
Speaking of which, let's talk playoffs. If the Cowboys keep this up, secure that playoff spot, do you think they have what it takes to make a run?
I think they got the potential, for sure. I mean, the defense is playing lights out, the offense is clicking, special teams, solid as a rock, but they got to stay healthy and avoid those killer mistakes.
Right, those turnovers, penalties, missed assignments. They can really come back to bite you in the playoffs.
Absolutely. You got to play smart, disciplined, can't beat yourself, got to maintain that intensity, that focus.
It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the pressure. Expectations are high, the spotlight's going to be bright, competition's going to be fierce.
But they're ready. This Cowboys team, they're different, man. There's a different energy, a different kind of belief. They're not just happy to be there. They're aiming for that Super Bowl.
And that's what makes this season so exciting, right? There's hope, optimism. That hasn't been there in years.
And it's not just, blind faith. We're seeing it on the field. They're winning games, beating good teams. They deserve to be in the conversation with the best.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. The Cowboys, they're on a mission. They're hungry, they're determined, they're playing with a purpose. It's inspiring to watch.
It is. And whether they get all the way to the Super Bowl, we'll have to see. But one thing's for sure, this Cowboys team, they're making a statement. They're not going down without a fight.
And that's all you can ask for as a fan, right? A team that gives it everything, leaves it all on the field, makes you believe.
Absolutely.
And this Cowboys team, they're doing just that.
They are.
So, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep believing in the power of sports.